I remember growing up that my mother did, we had 5 in our family, so my mother would make teriyaki wieners and tamago gohan, which is rice over eggs. We ate a little bit of meat with a lot of vegetables, so we call it okazu. But I don't know, we ate a lot of chaske and pickled vegetables, which we call tsukemono. But it wasn't until I was dating that when we went out, out with a date. When we went to a steak restaurant. I did not know this. I'm so naive. I didn't know there was any kind of variety of steak. I just thought there was only round steak. I didn't know there was ribeye, New York, or anything. But so that was a less education for me because we didn't eat very much beef. But what we did, my mother fixed it, like I said, with okazu style, and that's not just meat, but hamburger and pork and everything. But we ate a lot of vegetables, a lot of vegetables. So we grew up mainly with a lot of vegetables and fruits. And we did eat seafood. We did eat seafood too, not too much, but not like now where I can eat sushi or something like that. Yeah, well, like my mother, you know how you make you call omaza gohan, you stretch the rice. And so you could put peas, carrots, things like that. It just stretches the rice. And the same thing with noodles. She would do that with noodles, which is almost like the modern day yakisoba noodles. And we ate a lot of udon, noodles with soup, a dashi soup. And I know she made spaghetti. We ate spaghetti. And the funny thing is we ate spaghetti with rice. We had rice and spaghetti sauce with the noodles with rice. I don't know why, it must be a Japanese thing, but we had to have rice with our spaghetti. My grandparents had a farm, yes, and the funny thing about growing on the farm is that, and then the family had a store. And the store is that the sugar beets, we ate a lot of the tops of the sugar beets like spinach. We didn't really eat spinach. We ate the sugar beets. That was like our spinach. But yeah, we ate, and like any of the spoiled, vegetables, like the tomatoes, there was a part that you can't sell, because it's too soft or it's, and so we'd have, fix that in a soup, or we cut the bad part, and just eat the, all the spoiled part, you just cut it off and we, so we ate a lot of soups and stew with all the vegetables. So like I said, we ate healthy because we were eating all these vegetables that couldn't be sold. I know that my family, my mother taught me how to make the karaage chicken, which our family loves, which is a family favorite, and the chow mein, the Japanese church-like chow mein, and then of course our family liked sukiyaki. Well, I guess it's like you say, everything that kind of, we didn't eat too much steak, but we did like fish. I know we did go smelt fishing, and they would go fishing, and they would catch trout and some, salmon, and then, we would just grill it, miso or shioyaki. I did go with them to smelt fishing, and it's on the river. And we went Sandy River, or you can go in the area of the Washington side, and you just got these big nets, and you just scoop these smelt. And we used to dry them, and we used to fry them, and then give a lot away to friends and say, hey, we have smelt, and we'd take them over. And we used to go crabbing, renting a boat and go crabbing and clamming, razor clamming out by Long Beach. But we kind of quit doing that too. These are all the family things I remember our family used to do. And of course, as fall came, we went to masake hunting, and we'd always have obento, which is usually teriyaki chicken and musubi and ocha and tsukemono. Same thing when we went to the beach. We would always have chicken and tsukemono and musubi, or I guess you call or nigiri, musubi nigiri, and we would put pakwan in it or something, or ume, and nori, and the nori, like we do here. The way I remember was that we cleaned it, and then Mom would dipped it in egg and well, I think now, when I cook fish now, I usually dip it in egg, a flour, egg, and panko. And I do that, and the kids love it. And it's not just, I could do with the salmon, and I could do with cod, and they love it. And you can do it with vegetables. You could do it with zucchini, and you could do it with eggplant. It's really good. In fact, at the picnic, that's what I made. I made zucchini and the eggplant. I did that. I think I brought salmon, too. People came from Hood River. People would come from, and all the different churches, families come. Not just Nichiren, Bukkyo, and Methodist. They all came. My mother retired, and she worked at Ikonakai. And then, and she was, at that time, it was part of Loaves and Fishes. It was, and now it's not, it's different now because our food came from Loaves and Fishes. So mainly the food would come, when I started volunteering, it was Marvin Pohl, and there was a man named Brian, and there was Kaneko Wager. They were all, before Lowen took over, that was when Jazo, or the Japanese Ancestral, took it over. And then at that time, when my husband retired too from his job, he worked we had a van, a 15-passenger van, which everyone donated, and he would pick people up. At that time, he would pick them up at their home and then deliver them at their own home. It wasn't like, it was one of those transportation things that he would pick them up and it could be Tigard, it could be Gresham, it could be North Portland. I remember him going all over. And then after a while, Marvin Pohl, he's the last one, he talked to the board and said it was very expensive to have the van because it was insurance, liability, and everything. So then after that, my husband didn't have to drive a van because they sold the van, and then they got Ride Connection. And that's when we had a lady come, and I think, I forgot her name, I want to say Margie or Marco or something. She drove for a while. But some people from North Portland, even though they didn't have Ride Connection, they actually took 2 buses just to come here because it was a gathering place. And everyone met here just to talk about old times, maybe talk about camp days, I don't know what, but, and then we didn't have activities like we do now, because when I was volunteering, we didn't have any activities. All we did is just eat, socialize, and go home. Not like we do Tai Chi or the blood pressure or, what Dwight teaches us in Aikido things. So that's good. Yoji Matsushima and I, we doctored the food up. And I have to tell you how we did it. We used like hondashi, and we says, this needs a little more flavor. So the basic thing we ended up doing a lot on the soups and stuff is hondashi. We put pepper and different, things like that. But basically, we just kind of add a little more seasoning to the food.
So you would basically get Loaves and Fishes food and then doctor it up?
And we doctor it up. We would doctor it up. This has been 43 years, Ikonakai. Okay, and I retired in the 90s. I retired in my 90s, like 92. So then I started volunteering then. But then the food got to be more, we got the different cooks. Mrs. Hamada was one of the cooks, and Skip Yamamoto was a cook at that time, before we have the cooks now. Before you came, we had Skip Yamamoto, and then we had Mrs. Hamada. And she used to own Zen Restaurant downtown, her and her husband, George Hamada. And George Hamada, when we had Saba, he would take his time taking out all the bones, or we call hone, for the Saba. And but everyone, comes here as like you say, the gathering place. And I think Ikonokai means gathering place in Japanese.